we'll start with a nice light one. Okay, when is the last time that you felt pure joy?
When I was at my last concert in Toronto.
What type of concert?
Sophie Tucker! With all my friends, right in the front.
What's one of your greatest accomplishments in life?
There's two things that come to mind, like in terms of like accomplishments, like things that I've done. I think like graduating from TDT was like maybe one of them, and like working with, specifically working with Peggy Baker was a big deal for me, and owning my mental health would be the other one. Yeah.
Owning your mental health.
Oh, right away! Recognizing and seeking treatment slash help, not even seeking treatment, but seeking help for, and continually seeking help and reaching out for help for my bipolar.
If you could tell your younger self one thing, what would it be?
That it's not gonna be okay, but that you will get through it. Everybody's always like, oh, that it's gonna be okay. It's not gonna be okay. Things are gonna fucking suck. It'll be really shitty, but somehow you'll find a way to be with it.
What's one dream that you've never said out loud?
Like, I'm a pretty open book, even though I keep things to myself, but I'm also a very open book. Like, I'm not afraid to share things. So I think I don't really have anything that I haven't said out loud, but in terms of actually taking the steps to do, I don't even want to say it on camera, but to be the lead singer in a band.
What's your biggest battle right now?
Still not knowing what I want to do or what I'm doing, but like I'm trying to just, I've said to myself like certain things that I want in my life, like I want music and pleasure and experience and adventure, but also just being in that space is so loose. So the battle is allowing myself to be in that space where what I am doing is giving me the freedom and the flexibility to do that, which isn't natural to me. Yeah. So allowing there to be a little bit more grace and space and freedom. It's like in between freedom and flexibility, because I've manufactured those things before, but to actually have that space be open is hard. Yeah.
What's the most painful thing you've ever been told?
Ever been told? That I'm mediocre.
And who said that?
One of my teachers. Yeah. Somebody that I looked up to and admired and would have like done anything to be like, and then realized that it took me years to realize, but they weren't worth my admiration. So.
And does that come up now? Like, does it stick with you?
I think because I left the realm in which that occurred, it makes it easier to not live in that space, but it regularly comes up in dreams that I have, and not that wording, but that person still comes up 20 years later. So, yeah.
What's the greatest emotional pain you've ever felt?
Losing my mom. Yeah. Nothing will ever hurt that much. Yeah. And it will never go away. Yeah, it changes, blah, blah, but it will absolutely never go away. So I have to actually live with that every single day. And sometimes it's easier to just ignore it. But You can't. So, yeah.
That's what I've heard about grief is like, people are like, oh, it will, like, it's never, it just changes. Grief changes.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody keeps saying that it changes, but I actually don't believe it. No, it doesn't fucking change. Like, yeah, I really don't. It's the same thing when you ask me, like, what would I say to my younger self? How it's like everybody's like, oh, it'll be okay, sweetheart. No, it's not going to be okay. No, it's not going to change. Like, the pain of losing my mom is never going to change. So it's like, stop fucking telling me that. But perhaps my experience, my relationship to it will change, or something. But I can't possibly fathom how this pain would change. Because she's still not going to be here. So, yeah. So stop telling me lies, people. Yeah. Like with like losses that I've had before, it still hurts the same. You just don't think of them as often, which is sad. Which is like even more sad, because it's the only way things could possibly change, is just the frequency in which you think about that person or that being. And that's a whole other level of grief. And I've been thinking about this a couple times recently, like the process of forgetting somebody. That's a different level of loss. Oh, it's a different kind of pain. Yeah. So.
What is the greatest source of pride in your life?
Something came up right away, and then like I'm like, oh, I should think about my nephew. Just like brings me so much joy and pride, and I'm just so proud of my sister for, I couldn't imagine raising a child, especially after losing our mom. Yeah, just him, just this like bundle of all the things that I could ever think of or imagine or say, or yeah.
Who is your greatest hero?
It's interesting because I've previously said it was my mom. So it's like, obviously, yes, it would be my mom, but it's not just my mom. It's like every strong, independent, like unabashedly, confidently themselves female that I've I've had in my life. So, and there's been more than one, but that's the through line. So, yeah.
What are you holding on to that's holding you back?
I think if I knew that, it wouldn't be holding me back. Hashtag Scorpio. It's not the answer you wanted, but it's the answer you're getting.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, would there be anything? What would it be?
Yeah, there's multiple things that I would change about the way that I was raised. But also, if I would change any of those things, then I wouldn't have gotten, it's so cliche, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am. What I would change is having known about my mental and my physical health earlier on, so that there would have potentially been different outcomes of things. So, yeah.
And how could have you had access to that information?
Having people, this is a hard one to put on film without it being misconstrued, or just if somebody had actually taken the time to notice what was going on. Yeah, my physical health would have, that wouldn't have really changed much. It would have changed some things. But if I had known then what I know now about my mental health, it would be a whole other story. So, but ultimately, I was the one that had to figure it out, and it took 36 years. So, maybe 35. I can't remember how old I was when 39 now. So 34 or 35, yeah. Took 30 years.
And what advice, if any, this is just off the book,
Yeah.
this came up, would you give to young girls growing up in this day and age?
There will be times where it might not be true, but it'll feel like nobody else believes in you and nobody has your back. So you can believe that all you want, but you have to believe in yourself. Because it will feel like you are all alone, whether you are or not. So 100% you have to be your own everything. The only person you have is you, and that goes on a physical level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. So it is up to you to seek, to explore, to advocate, because ultimately there is no one else but you and whatever is in here and around you. So, yep, you have to be your own champion. So,
have you found yourself in a crossroads in your life? And if so, did that decision that you made have an impact on your life?
Many, 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 many times. A couple of them I would have done differently. When I was in Ottawa, I was dancing there. I was training with a company there, and I'm going to mention her name. Maybe she'll see this, maybe she won't ever. There's a choreographer named Heidi Strauss who I worked with in school in Toronto, and she was going to be in Ottawa choreographing on a youth company there, and she'd asked me to be her rehearsal director. It would have been in February, and then I came home to Vancouver for the holidays. Because of whatever place I was at within my mood, I made a spontaneous decision to move back home to Vancouver, completely forgetting about my commitment and responsibility to my word that I gave to Heidi, and I just moved back to Vancouver, and it has killed me to this day because I know that was a pivotal moment where I gave up on myself for somebody else and other things that weren't nearly as important, and also a path that I would have loved to have gone down with my career, and I didn't. So, and then when she came to Vancouver, shortly after that, she asked me to babysit her son and not have anything to do with what was going on in the studio. So it's like, clearly I had fucked up. And had I not fucked up, would have been a whole different story. So that's one of those regrets that I will never, ever, ever let go. Ever. 100% can confidently say that. So, if I could do one thing, that's what I'd be doing. And I had the opportunity to. So.
You would be doing?
I would be rehearsal directing professionally with professional dance, like in a company situation, and whether it was with like pre-professional youth or within like my own realm of peers. Yeah. Like my wheelhouse, my skill set, I was never meant to be a choreographer. And I'm great at teaching, but where I really like shone was like through like my direction and my coaching and my ability to really like get into something and pull out of that what was needed and what was meant to come out. So that's a big fucking, I don't know if I can, I don't know, maybe that is what's holding me back, right? Is that how could I possibly ever know what to do with my life when I know what I wanted to do with it? So, yeah.
Who is that one stranger that you'll never forget?
I was like probably, I don't know. I could have been like 10 or 11, and there was this like, we used to always go to the roller rink, Stardust. My dad would take me, or I'd like friends would have birthday parties, or I would go. And there was this one time, there was this super cute boy, and I didn't go up and say, like, and then he was, like, I was like 10 years old, 11 years old. And I didn't like go say hey. Because he was fully a stranger and like whisked away into the sunset of preteenness. And I had this like, I remember tying this plaid shirt around my waist to like look cool. He probably looked like JTT or something like that. I also looked like JTT. So, there you go. Jonathan Taylor Thomas, in case you don't know.
Hey, what are you most ashamed of?
I don't really, at this point in my life, have anything that I'm ashamed of, which is pretty fucking cool. I know what it would have been previously in the past, and that would be my finances, my financial situation, but I got myself out of that financial situation. So yeah, with the help of some people, but really it took what I did to make it different. That's the most recent shame I can remember identifying with. It's really insane. Since my mom passed away, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give two shits what people think about me or the choices that I make. Like, it really is go fuck yourself. Like, you can love it or not, or you can like, I really, really don't care. So, no, I don't have anything that I'm shameful of. Which is pretty crazy, considering things.